Iron City built. It's time for the Steel City Nation podcast. Here's your host, Mark Maradei.
My guest today is Joseph Hooks. It's so good to have Joe on the show. Joe is not only a former football player, but he has used his football platform to reach out into his community and actually surrounding communities and develop a mentorship program for young people that has really taken off. Joe, how you doing today, my man?
Doing good. It's Friday. Blessed for the opportunity to share the story and impact anybody listening and connect with my coach who I dearly respect and appreciate from, growing up and playing for him.
Well, it's great to have you here. Joe, football has been so instrumental in your life since you were young. Why? Why has football impacted you so much?
Let's use the word anger management. I didn't play football until middle school, actually. I grew up playing soccer, baseball, and basketball, and karate. And that was always to give me structure, anger management, friendships, and, staying active. And playing soccer, I got so many yellow cards. It only made sense when I put the pads on that I could hurt people without getting in trouble. And I fell in love with that. And I started from the roots, from playing on the O-line to playing linebacker, playing with a broken thumb. And that adversity and brotherhood and commitment is something that I fell in love with really since then.
Yeah. So who were some of those early influences that guided you? And what did they do to guide you?
Well, to play football?
In any sport.
Any sport, my mom is a strong woman, and her brothers played basketball and football for Perry High School. It's no longer. And, I never forget the first day ever when my baseball was really big. I'm a Frank Thomas fan and Big Hurt. And I remember him coming in the house saying, "You want to play baseball? Do you want to play on my team?" And I grew up in a neighborhood where we played outside, knew all the neighbors and stuff. But even soccer, Coach Halbrook coming over to my house, acting like I was signing $1 million contract. Like, "Hey, we want your son to play with us." I was like the only one of the black kids on the team, and it was just no brainer to me. I love to compete, and I love to be, part of the process and win. And it has created so many friendships. I still keep in contact with those guys. But my uncles, my community members really saw the talent in me. And we thought that with my anger and frustrations in life, that was a place for me to be safe and live that out.
Yeah, it's funny you say Frank Thomas. I mean, I saw Frank Thomas play in his rookie year in Cleveland. I was just enamored at the size of the guy, and he always smiled. That dude was always smiling. He's such a good guy. And now I see him on those commercials about whatever it is, some kind of medication that you take to keep from feeling the joint pain. I'm like, damn, dude, big dude like you going through all that now, it must be tough. But, yeah, he was one of my favorites always. So, Joey, I always felt like you were one of the hardest workers in the room. No question about it. Was that part of your mantra you developed early on, or is that something you learned under Coach Cater out at Shepherd University?
I learned that playing for Montgomery Village Chiefs. That was the hardest working place in camp I've ever been in my life. That made Shepherd and Walker's Mill Cakewalk and Shepherd more like home. Montgomery Village shaped me as a young teenager and a young man that we work harder than anybody else. And that's why if you work hard, you can expect results. And it really broke me down to build me up. And we had Coach Art, rest in peace. My O-line coach was very hard on me, not a lot of tough love, kind of like Coach Bob Haley at Shepherd. And so it was a common denominator, and it reminded me of that blue-collar Coach Haley, diehard, Steeler family, his family coach there working in the front office. So you might get him on a call. He might come up with a Budweiser. Well, actually, he don't drink Budweiser. He drinks Miller Lite. I'm sorry. He'd be mad if he saw that and said Budweiser. He'd be like, Budweiser. But, so MV gave me that work ethic. I think my mother being really lovable, but I grew up in a tough household. My dad was kind of tough, coming from the Philly, city, and my uncles kind of really, a lot of tough love. I had a lot of uncles that were hard on me in a loving way, taking me to the jail saying, "This is where you're going to end up," or "You're going to end up like this." And I took those challenges as opportunities to prove people wrong. And that's what drove me to succeed past expectation. But, I'm like, when I coach, I say two different type of people. No disrespect, either a lab or you're a pit bull. People want that stick up high to go get, or lab wants to be petted. Tell me what I can't do. Tell me what I need to go get, and I'm gonna go get it. And those are some of the best things that people could do for me is challenge me, and I'm gonna take it personal, and it's gonna be for the best most of the time.
Just knowing you, I know what the impact your mom has had on you. I know your family's deep in your life. Following you on social media, I always love when you put some pictures out there with you and your family back in Philly. And I know you're driven. I know you're a driven young man. So when you were graduating from Division II Power Shepherd University, you had some aspirations of playing football at the professional level. Talk a little bit about your journey and what you learned from that. Playing in the Arena League and your actual tryout with the Skins. Talk a little bit about that. Or can we call them the Redskins anymore?
I know, right? People don't realize. I'll talk about that. 1 second. Let me grab this. So this right here is most of 40s are from Shepherd, but Shepherd, I actually almost went to. So this for the podcast. I almost went to East Stroudsburg.
Oh.
Almost committed to East Stroudsburg because they had a good powerhouse program in 2002, 2001, but it was closer to home. My mother and dad were separating at the time. I wanted to be accessible but far away enough from distractions. And MC program had just shut down. Me and Zach Humphreys almost went to Salisbury together, but I wanted to push my limit. And Coach Grace loved Mark so much. I wanted to go where he was at because I felt like I was just as good as a football player or better in my role. Mark, I love him as a brother. He's the best receiver I've seen. He probably dropped 2 passes in my life.
Mark Springer, right?
Yes.
Mark Springer.
Practicing games, 9 years together. I seen him drop. Coach Mark, you coached me. I didn't even know he was on the team 9th grade. 10th grade at Frostburg camp, I was like, who is this guy? We need him now. And I told Coach Grace, I want to play Coach JV with Coach Mark because I want to grow with my class and have a vital role. But to go back to your question, Shepherd was a tough love, blue-collar, structured program. And as I have an autographed picture here with Coach Cater, Hall of Famer, just retired a year or two ago, he always let us know the bottom line. He know that he communicated what the expectations were. He was high on academics and communication and commitment. And I needed that tough love. I was a pit bull, right? I needed to be guidance. I needed to have that structure. And really the backbone of that program was Coach Urish, Hall of Fame linebacker, strength conditioning coach, outside linebacker, who eventually left us my sophomore year to University of Maryland as a strength coach. He pushed me to a level that I didn't know and really utilized the strength conditioning program for my skills to develop at a high level. From a strength standpoint, I came in benching like 275. I left benching 415. I came in squatting almost 290. I left squatting 555. I want to say maybe 585 or something, 500 something after having an MCL sprain where I didn't really put a lot of pressure on my knee. So I needed that push, and that Shepherd environment, Ron Frazier, Gettysburg GOAT, one of the greatest, really inspired me to push and be a part of the winning philosophy. Reminded me of MV where winning was expectation, but becoming a young man and completing my education was still a goal of the program and the brotherhood that was there. I'm still invested in high communication with the university. From an assistant recruiting standpoint, shout out to Ryan Beach going there, but also other guys like Michael Gladney from Avalon that I've talked to Coach Klein and McCook and given my graces of someone who I felt could play for Shepherd. Even coaches who play D1, Joel Gordon, Iowa State, Sam Williams was at Penn State. They would say, could he play Shepherd with you? And I would say yes or no. So that's my halfway point. Could you handle Shepherd? I would give Maryland a yes or no, or maybe say, hey, Clayton Beard, Stevenson, or Frostburg. So Shepherd, I give a lot of credit to, and I'm looking forward to supporting and seeing their growth. Coach McCook as head coach.
So you took that inspiration, that motivation, the growth that you had there. When you went to play in the Arena League, when you went to work out for the Skins, what was your level of confidence?
Honestly, not that much. I graduated in the recession. I never forget my last game at at Cal PA, where Coach Haley played and coached at, and he gave us an inspirational speech. At the end of the game, as people were saying their goodbyes, me and him had an eye-to-eye look, and it was looked like it was just like, damn, it was just quiet. It was like, it was speechless, and I felt like I let him down. And I don't want to let nobody down. That's the type of role player that I am. If it's blocking at fullback, recruiting kids, giving back food, shoes, equipment, playing for you, I love the man. And I was like, I don't want to play football no more. I'm not that good. I had a bad high ankle sprain. Back then we were more about bulk lifting and not a lot about plyometrics. And I was a fast guy. I was a tweener.
Okay.
I was I looked up at Derek Thomas a lot and Derek Brooks. They were tacklers. So I had a bad neck injury my sophomore, junior year that set me back where I couldn't even do a push-up. Then I had to grind back and rehab. And they said they didn't know if I was going to play football again. You can't tell me that. This is all I know. So I worked my ass off, trained, and got back to where I could perform. So I try to play I try to be as safe as possible, but how I played the game at a violent level. So I came more strategic and like a veteran almost. But when I wanted to stop playing football, when I got the opportunity, it was like, it was tough. It was like, sometimes I tell people like this. I would go to a bar and they'd be like, oh, you done? You swole, you this, you that. It's easier to be bad than it is to be in between. So having that one shot, I went to the Redskins workout first before Arena League, and I almost didn't want to do it. The night before, I was calling my agent and everything. I was like, are they going to cancel it? It was outdoors. Rest in peace, Joe Bugle. That's where I met him at. When I was on the treadmill, he was like grabbing my traps, and he was like, oh, you're a good-sized kid. Like, I see you. And I had a high ankle sprain training with my trainer at like a tennis court. I had a calf strain that came from the stress of the ankle sprain. So I was overtraining. People don't realize that I was doing my internship with the Wizards at the same time.
Okay.
So I would get up in the morning at 5:30, 5 o'clock, take a Metro train to Bethesda, train at LA Fitness, or Fitness First back then, and then go to Wizards and be in a suit and hard bottoms till 9, 10 o'clock, and then repeat it all over again. So my body never got to really replenish and recover because I didn't graduate early, and I still needed to get my internship to graduate on time. Once that internship runs out and that credit, there's no more tuition support. So I had a lot of pressure, and I didn't come from a place where I was really being pushed in the household of expectation. My mother cared more about graduating college. So I was doubting myself, but then I had to still pull myself out of this depression of football being almost done and saying, let's go get it. And I remember meeting with my agent and then going to drive to Ashburn myself, pulling up nervous, walking into a big conference room with Syracuse, Maryland, Georgia, Virginia Tech, Penn State, and people looking at me like, what's Shepard? What you doing here? I wasn't an All-American like Devon Wallace or Daniel Peters. So as I filled up this big packet of medical forms and I got my practice jersey 57, I went to the training room and said, can I get my ankle taped? They're like, why? I'm like, oh, just for precaution, even though I was hurt. So when I ran my 40, Coach Mark, usually you run two 40s. I ran one. And when I'm running, talking about trauma, I'm running saying, please don't pull, please don't pull, please don't pull. And I ran a 4.5 flat hand time in Redskins field without a second run, because your second run is usually faster if you watch the combine, right? Yeah. I'm 228 at the time. I'm a big boy moving in fast speed. I was there with Brian Bradford from Gettysburg, played for Coach Neubaser, and he was kind of shocked. He was a Towson All-American. So I'm coming from Watkins Mill, I'm coming from Shepherd. I'm with these big guys. I'm going one-on-one with Keon Lattimore, Ray Lewis's, what was that, brother or son?
Yeah,
but
his brother.
Yeah, and so I did well, and what I got feedback was as I left, I ran fast. The one thing he said was I did the bags hard enough. So that's why I push my players with effort, because you never know who's watching. And don't be afraid to show and play with your emotion.
Right.
Watkins Mill, but even Shepherd kind of bottled my emotion. It offended some people. MV and how I coach is using your emotion to drive you to be who you are while doing your job and being a team player. So I use that lesson as to other kids and other guys going through this process. But Rashad Woodard told me from Bullis, be proud. A lot of people didn't even have the opportunity. I still have the email, Redskins, Sean Fletcher emailing me. I got a phone call at West Virginia University during my pro day with what's the quarterback that came out, Slayton and all those guys. That's a whole nother story. We want to get into that. But I got a phone call in the weight room saying, this is Sean Fletcher from the Washington Redskins. We'd like to invite you to a private workout with them. And I was like, you're calling me? Like, I didn't score touchdowns. I didn't break a sack record. I wasn't, to me, the best player on the team, but I did my job. And so it was humbling. At the same time, it was kind of scary. Actually, for the Steelers, I ran my 40-yard dash 10 yards away from Mike Tomlin standing right there. I've never seen so many cameras in my life. And so the anxiety of performing at a high level in that environment was so new to me, coming from Walker's Mill and Shepherd. I wasn't as able to perform probably as I could have been coming from Ohio State or Maryland. So
sure.
I was definitely grateful for the opportunity, and it's a life lesson to put me where I am at today to maybe impact future guys to come.
I'm sure it's helped you. Now I know you coach youth. I know you've coached high school. I know you did an internship at the University of Arizona. At what level do you enjoy the most in terms of coaching? Because I know you work with kids across the board still too. What level do you enjoy coaching the most?
Youth league, honestly. Youth league, and so it's different levels. High school, you deal with less parents and the BS. College, you better not email Coach Cater or Coach Saban. But youth league, because they're soaking up everything. They love you, they look up to you, and you see yourself in them. High school is great because you're there at a big transition in their life. College, I haven't coached, but I've seen the process where you're a man and you're starting to make some lifelong decisions and commitment. And I went to the University of Arizona to see it myself, the background end of D1, the workout regimen, the preparation. Shout out to PA legend Jeff Castile, who is back at West Virginia right now as a consultant analyst. But he connected with me through Shepherd, and he even brought up Shepherd a lot. But I say youth league because it's pure, and they just really invested, and you can see the seeds grow, like a Caden Prather, Jordan Addison, Demetrius Rush, Smiley, Isaiah Williams, and
all the kids Joey's mentioning right now. For those of you listening, all those kids are going on to play at Division I football, and they all came through his youth organization, and they played for his 480 club, which we're going to talk about next.
Mm-hmm.
So let's do that. The 480 Club. It started in 2014. I love the fact that you're doing this. Tell me what 480 stands for.
I'm kind of motivated to put one of these rings on a day like this, but winning is not easy. I don't care what level you come from. I don't care if it's Pop Warner, D2, D1, NFL, the Ravens beating the Steelers, whatever it is. So. 480 started from a quick introduction. I'm not going to say accident. Everything happens for a reason. And it's the amount of minutes. My fiance asked me this morning, and I gave her a T-shirt. It was the amount of minutes I spent with the middle school kids like Caden Prather and Isaiah Williams in a month. So for me, mental was big, right? You see Muhammad Ali in the background, right?
Yeah.
Mentality, the mind. If you tell a sixth grader, we're going to work out for 2 hours, we tell them 480 minutes, they think that 40 minutes is a bigger pie, it's a bigger commitment. And we would dedicate that time to work hard and also to have guest speakers and input the mindset and mentality of getting to where they want to go based on their work ethic and mindset to achieve their goals. So 40 Club started off the minutes, and it wasn't intended to be super profitable. It was more so to cover myself from a liability standpoint of training these kids in a gym that that opened the doors to me. Soldier Fit, shout out Soldier Fit.
So what's your objective with the club? Like, what do you want to reach? Like, I kind of get the idea. I know, but tell everybody else, what do you want to reach with this club?
I want to reach legacy. Legacy meaning that they're going to do the same thing for the next generation or for my son one day, your son one day. Just doing what you can do. That's what I've been talking to a lot of friends about with Black Lives Matters and all things going on is, you know, we didn't have this growing up, but we did have some good things. And so if I can do it, you know, I always say if it's positive, it's possible. I wanted to change the rhetoric of just because you're up north, you couldn't train in off season. You didn't have people there for you. It was a way, honestly, for me, how I deal with my pain of not really having an active father involved to afford training growing up. So it was a way to give back in place of what I didn't have and what I think I needed. Because if I would have got all that, and if I was playing for Seneca Valley or Northwest, or if I played at Towson or, Villanova, I would have been probably playing Canadian ball, some practice ball, something in that nature. But I didn't want to leave any doubt. And when the day I'm gone, I wanted those seeds to grow to where they can expand that, do what I did, and put it to a higher level. Most winners want to see people exceed what they win. I don't want to see people do less than me. I want them to do more than me. So I'm just raising the bar for young Black men of all diversity to what I say effort is free. And so it just took a little bit of ideas and action to do. And I say where it's going, only God knows. 480 today is serving 2 Walker's Mill Wellness Centers in Gaithersburg. We were at Riker today doing a lot of programming. I'm giving out food tomorrow to my community. And I don't know what's going to happen, but God's looking out for me with good family, friends, health, fiance, and positivity, so where I can sleep good at night and know that God's proud of me, my mother's proud of me, my coaches are proud of me, my teammates, and that's what means more to me than anything else.
So are you developing somebody along with you so that when you're ready to go on to the next chapter, there's somebody who's going to continue leading 480?
Yeah, but I've also had the mindset of Barry Sanders where I do my 10 years, maybe we walk away in peace and through passion. But Clarence McNary is the anchor of 480, a young man that I mentored and coached at Walker's Mill who has experienced some adversities and tribulations to where he fits the motive and passion of 480 and like a little brother to me, a family member, and he's taken on a big role as a youth development specialist. He's now the head coach of JV Walker's Mill, something I never did. And that's what it's about. I was never 23 making a good amount of money. I was never the head coach. I might have acted like one. I might have been one, but I never was one. So those feel good. And Clarence is someone that honestly will eventually be either a police officer, which we need more of, or the next guy to kind of take the torch of supporting Montgomery Village community in the way that I have and even better.
That's interesting because I coached Clarence when he was a young man. So it's great to hear I see him in your stuff sometimes, but it's great to hear he's doing so well. Some of the projects you've done with 480 Club, can you share some of those projects with us?
Some of my original ones was my first one, rest in peace, Day Wims, where we did a high school prep kind of clinic camp. It was $20. It was 4 days. It was more to give them a T-shirt and some food. I really just wanted, like I said, fill the void of like those dead times, that at-risk time. From there, I did shoe drives. I had a lot of friends. We're all young and dumb buying Jordans and Nikes. And I saw one of my kids I coached at MB Middle School at the basketball game. He had holes in his shoes. I'm like, why? Like, how come no one's saying this is a problem? So it was just effort. It didn't take a lot of money. I didn't play for the NFL. I haven't made $1 million. So, I take pride in doing what I can do. From there, I've done things like spring break camps and shoe drives and food drives. Because at the end of the day, it's like, I've never been perfect, but it was a way for me to change the narrative, make my mother proud. And one of the things my mother always told me is that she always said she loved me, but there was a day in my life where she said one day, I'm not proud of you. And that was tough. And I took that to heart and I made sure I turned it around because I was using my challenges and downtime not in the best way. And, you can do great things positively and you can heal positively. And so I've done, 480's grown to having contracts and nonprofit and donations and really just expanding it as able. But I've also turned down stuff. I read a lot of books now. Not all money is good money. And what you would not know is you never see a kid walk up to me and say, here's money and I'm putting it in my Benjamin or my house. I'm getting money from your tax-paying dollars, from great organizations like Chadwick Foundation, Coca-Cola, So What Else, Manna Food, places that support the community have seen me do what I can do and utilizing that. I'm trying to keep money in the community. I'm not trying to make money off my own community to leave my community. I'm still in my community. I still live here on purpose so that I can see and reach those that I can see and talk to, but also be intentional. Coach Mark, I'm coaching kids that we went to school with. Like Coach Eric Moore's son can play for my football team.
Okay.
That's the age gap that I'm dealing with now. So it really means a lot to me to make sure that I'm the one that's delivering the services off and on the field so that it's not a joke, or it means more to them that they're giving it to someone who looks like them or from where they're from. So
I totally support that.
I don't know the future, but things are being supported, and I'm very grateful that it's growing opportunities for like-minded individuals, black, brown, or white, but also I'm also just trying to maintain right now so that we can, keep the quality and take any challenge that come with that.
I think that's I think what you're doing by reaching into your community and giving right back to them from your community is something a lot more people need to recognize can and does happen. It just takes somebody with your drive to actually make it happen, because oftentimes I don't think people realize that it just takes a little effort to make something happen. You've had a mission in mind, a dream in mind, and you're pushing it forward. So, I mean, your plan is a perfect plan going forward. Now to continue to roll that, it's great that you've got Clarence coming up behind you. Hey, have you reached out, let's just say, have you reached out to the NFL? Because I know they have their Play 60 program, anything like that. Have you tried to pull any of that in terms of what they'll give you?
A lot of connections I've had, and it took me a while to get to that point. They can't really help you unless you're a nonprofit. That's basically how it works. I've done that, 40 cares. I'm a real rookie with that. But I coached in the All-Star game at IMG with Roman Obin.
Yeah.
He's in charge of the youth kind of programs, NFL. And what I've learned from a former Marine, one day he told me, Adam Bradley, lead him up, turn perception into reality. So I'm trying to make a lot happen with 15 cents, make it look like $1. So with the body of work, I posted something on Twitter, on LinkedIn, that people, it's all about show and prove. So you got to kind of show your worth. And as I continue to do what I do, since I know it's the right thing and doing what I can do, that might draw some attention. I've been on the news. I just got a check from Eastern Automotive. It's going to air on August 5th on ABC 7, doing these interviews. These things are ways to allow him to know more about me and to see why maybe he can help me help others. So that's why I take a lot of challenges and trips and volunteer opportunities to put myself out there so that it can impact those behind me that need me, that don't even maybe need or who I need. And so it's really about collaborating. So, I've had friends who worked for the Residence Charity Foundation in the past, but shout out Andrew Milley, who's in that same pipeline of reaching out. So it's really about just keep grinding, keep shoveling, keep doing what you can do with nothing. And if you do a great job, people will come. And things
I saw you recently got yourself engaged. I'm proud of you. Congratulations. How is she part of what you have going forward? Is she involved in some capacity?
But my friend told me she's my piece. She's my break. She's not really into sports, and sometimes that's needed from a self-care standpoint. She's bilingual. She'll come in handy when times come. She comforts me. She tells me to take a break. She allows me to do my thing, and she knows it helps my mental health. So, like I said, she's my piece from the game, from the challenges, from the hate, from the just everything that comes sometimes tough with it. And I really appreciate her and in love, and looking for our future. And for real, looking at 2 to 3 years of dedicating before I have a child or family to where I might have to take a break because I don't want to miss a single second from a young daughter or a young boy that I might have. And that's going to mean a lot to me. And she knows that I take her on vacations and I give her time, make her feel happy when I can.
That's why I stepped away from all that coaching I did for years. I mean, as my kids continue to grow up, as much as I love coaching and working with you young guys, I realize that I only get my kids for so long to belittle and develop them, and then they move on. So I hear what you're saying there. And my wife, to be honest with you, Joey, and you know my wife, she was exact, and she's still the exact same person you just described. And when you find somebody like that who's there for you by your side, willing to support your mission, yet take you in a different direction when you need it mentally, that's golden, to be honest with you. That's a golden piece of life. So let's go back to the community for a second. You've given so much to the community. Is there something more that you would like to see them give, help you, support you? What's out there yet that your community, if I'm talking to Montgomery Village, if I'm in a town hall meeting and I'm talking to them and I'm speaking on your behalf, and I say, look, Joey's done this for you, he still would like to see this happen, what would it be?
I mean, sometimes you don't know. I have a website, www.40club.com, where it talks about a lot of things I've done or about me. Donations go a long way. You know, I've supported kids, not even just off the field. Like a young man graduated and he started a detailing company. Sometimes, you know, you don't know where it's going, but just know that I'm putting it where it needs to be. Recently, coming up in New Jersey, we're trying to get some kids to New Jersey. Fall football is going to look kind of down. It's tough. Sometimes I get scared and I get nervous, and I can't sleep at night saying, how am I going to get these 24 kids to this place? And I'm even losing money. And God has always found a way. Good people in the community have always supported and reached out. There was a young man that I actually got in a fight with in high school, and I won the fight. And he's donated to this program 2 times behind the scenes. Sometimes I love the messages that I get that keeps me going, and just my faith has keep me going. And I think, you know, what I love to see is just do your part and collab, reach out. You know, I have volunteers and friends who come out and help the food drives. I have coaches who help out. There's kids that they need to be mentored. So I don't know, but everything that anyone can do, it can be useful. And that's what I want 40 to be known for, as a place of a platform. And sometimes I don't have something, but if there's anything I can do or connect you to that a kid might need or a family, I would love people to reach out to me via email, social media, website, just to know that I'm not going to take that money and go to Ruth Chris or buy a new tickets to the Ravens game. I'm going to figure out what kid is hungry, what kid needs to travel, what kid needs a scholarship, what kid, you know, how can I afford to drive this kid to UConn for a workout? That's what it's about. And that's how people can help. And they only everyone knows what they can do. And that's all we can ask.
Now, you mentioned some organizations, and you mentioned Clarence as far as being kind of an heir apparent. You're bringing him along. Other individuals that are instrumental in helping you with what you are doing. Any other individuals that are part of it? Like, I see guys that you coach with, I hear about them, I know about them, but like, you know, who's all on board with you? Because 480 Club is not just 480 minutes of you working them out and doing volunteer stuff. It is about you having a football group there too. Who's all on board with you?
It's been a collaboration, and everything's a chapter. I mean, guys from Andrew Millie's been a believer from day one. A lot of head coaches who supported me from the back end. Coach Neesmith has given me some safe space. I always say communicate with Coach Newbizer. But in regards to 480, shout out to my whole MB family, Quentin Cosby, Seneca Valley alum, Jonathan Frazier, Aaron McDonald, was that Stephon Diggs, Trayvon Diggs' older brother, half brother. Those guys have been the roots. We call ourselves the Owls. You know, one of my best friends, Mookie Pierre, has always given me guidance and been analytical from the outside looking in. My mother has the tools to give me some structure and mindset. You know, built a lot of new relationships. For years, Miles Gray was definitely on board. Eli Davis, Shepherd alum, Wheaton Hall of Famer, worked for Montgomery County Recreation. So people come and go as they can. You know, it's a volunteer a lot of times. You know, those are the strong people that have been integral backbones of the programs.
It's interesting because you didn't
Wayne,
a lot of the names you dropped are kids from Seneca Valley and other places. I don't hear many of potentially those peers that you grew up with. Maybe they're not back in the area to give back. I'm not sure. I know I always admired that group. That's one of my favorite groups of all time. When I was coaching, that group is that's a special group to me. I'm still friends with you guys, a lot of you guys on social media. We still have conversations on a regular basis about stuff. And I mean, it was just kind of interesting to me because I know all those names of kids who played young men now, but they played at other places. And it's good to see that, you're bringing people in from all over the place to mold this thing. What's been your most rewarding experience so far? And I know it's growing and everything. You're evolving. What's been the most rewarding thing that's happened to you? Name one specific thing for me if you can.
The relationships, seeing guys like Jordan Addison going to Pittsburgh, just being in contact and seeing them be successful. Being able to leave the government and actually work for myself for 2 years was a risk.
Right.
I have a full-time job now, but being able to multitask, shot the football gave me a lot of that foundation and mindset. So the most rewarding thing to me is relationships. And I always cared about my locker room more than any award or trophy. That's what I cared about, and just making sure that people knew I did the best I could or push me to do better. And making my mother proud has been rewarding. She can smile, she can post, she can share. Just the friendships, they say a lot of Watkins Mill guys are from afar away, like Drew Robinson's in Indonesia, or Jimmy's a police officer, Mookie's taking care of his daughter in Virginia. So those guys, like I said, they're around, but everybody has different paths and passions. And that's what it's about, is tapping into your passions. And as you do that, you'll find the people that are in common and that'll take you to where you want to go. Because I always hear a quote, everybody who come with you can't go with you. And it's not personal, but it just means just be who you are and be around who you want to be around. And make sure you're not the smartest in the room.
Right.
So there's times where I take a break off. Like I got college friends now texting me about cooking out later. And we're not going to talk business. We're going to talk about our families and friends. But we have a conversation. I have text messages with a lot of Northwest alumni, like where I'm going to call Darren Brownlee today. I'm going to call Dwayne Whitaker. I'm going to call Salim Karoma, who's one of my best friends who came up for my engagement. Those guys are younger than me, but they came from the same mindset. They came from a great coach. They came from a great school and family and foundation. And so as you get older and you realize how many friends you have, you're going to be driven to the people that bring the best out of you, make you feel well. And that's what it's about. And if you're confident and you're doing something positive, you can feel confident about making those new friendships and connections.
That's awesome. Where do you want to see 480 Club 10 years from now? Let's project 10 years from now. You're in a good place in life. You've got a really solid job. You've got your own little family going. You're maybe not as deep into the organization because of your personal things. What do you want to look at in terms of the picture for 480?
I'm meeting with the county council on Tuesday about access to youth sports. I want to take 480 and almost integrate it into the government level where I can have more of a platform to speak on and act on action items and policies. I want to still allow a grassroots level of impact and opportunities for our Black and brown young men and women.
Right.
I actually want to see eventually, I want to have my own after school program. And I want to see things, funded to where it's not breaking our pockets of our people, and letting things go on with or without me so that I can focus on my family, but also be a lead liaison or consultant or in position to still allow things to continue. So I have a lot of pride, and I have to know some days it's okay, like I said earlier with Barry Sanders, to walk away when you feel like you've done what you can do and not be told to go away when you feel like you're not doing the best anymore. So you got to know your time limit and your impact and your community and philosophy, and know when it's time to pack it up or pass it on or collaborate. So like I said, if you had asked me 10 years ago, Coach Mark, I wouldn't know I was here today, and I don't know what's 10 years going to look like tomorrow. And that's what I like about life. If I knew what was going to happen, what's the point of living? So it's exciting to not know, and I thrive on that. But also just kind of, I always talk about being proactive instead of reactive. And so if I have an idea, I'm going to push it. And right now I'm pushing a lot of things, multitasking. And when I sit down or when I take my last breath, I want to know that I did the best I could and someone could look up to me and be proud.
It's interesting. You talk about Jordan Addison, him being up at Pitt. On Monday, I'm going to be interviewing Trey Tipton, another Pitt receiver, a great young man. He's from back in my actual hometown area in Pennsylvania. He has done essentially the same thing as you, starting a program that we'll talk about on that podcast, but he has sort of the same visions that you do. I would like to maybe possibly tie you guys together after Trey and I talk. That would be great for you guys to talk about collaborating. That would be great. 2 different areas, 2 different people, same mission in mind. If I wanted to get involved in the 480 Club, how about if I thought I had a kid who needed to get involved? How do I get him registered? How do I get this boy involved?
So a lot of
Would you accept the young lady?
A lot of things I do from a sports aspect are talented kids, but I never turn anybody away from a practice standpoint. I don't like to waste people's time or money. I think actually reaching out to your county council members so they can fund 480 so that we can do more. A lot of times, you know, at least from an African American standpoint, we got to bend but not break, and we have to follow and not always get to lead how we want to do things for our people. So if they can know more about me and your interest of having your son or daughter supported, is reaching out to your political people and your county council members to let them know we would like 480 to be in this school, to be funded to reach the community, because it's hard to reach when you don't have the same platform or financial backing, even though it's not about the money, but it's still about providing the correct services and you know, environment. And so I think even me talking to them on Tuesday, I'm getting closer and closer to the table. And my goal is to get MBSA $25,000, $50,000 a year, or for them to create a position for me in Montgomery County to collaborate and reach. And you know, a lot of services are, okay, you get in trouble, we have a department. Oh, you need help, here's a department. Why can't we support people in a proactive way, in a positive way, in a mentoring way, so that before they get in trouble, before they go into DJS, before they, you know, have an unplanned pregnancy, or before they lose a job, why don't we support each other? And so I would love to advocate for them to create positions so that we can serve each other in the forefront instead of the back end, and reach out to them. But you can email me on my website. It has my contact information, small opportunities available, volunteering, sometimes contractual. So all type of things come up here and there, and who knows? But I love to reach out to more people, have a bigger network of like-minded people, and that will help me grow and take on some more challenges and connect with you to do good things.
It'd be interesting to see you take this 480 Club and put it into schools as like, not just a few schools like I know you do, but it'd be interesting to see you be able to put that into schools like there's Bar T and after school YMCA and stuff. It would take it in a totally different direction to a certain degree, but you would be applying all those leadership skills, all the positive influences that you have, as well as the academic piece that I know that you really strive to get the kids to buy into. I'm looking forward to see how this plays out. So what's next for the 480 Club? Tell me what's next for you guys.
The next thing, exactly, you know, be where your feet are, is tomorrow. Actually, like Manifold is texting me. I'm doing a food drive at Montgomery Middle School, free to the Walker's Mill community. We feed about almost 50 to 100 families on Saturdays from 10:30 to 11:30 with fresh produce from Costco. In 2 weeks, I'll have practice or taking my 15U and 18U to New Jersey to compete in a 7-on-7 tournament as our last kind of get together before the whole thing is more shut down. And then after that, really postponed until COVID opens up from a physical standpoint. I'll have a spring break camp at Montgomery Village Middle School, my alma mater, for free up to 100 kids, lunch, T-shirt, programming, football and basketball. And I do a program called Animals with the Message at Fort Stoke, where it's really about school climate connectivity, where we bring sports to bring staff and students together. And right now, I'm also at Riker. We had Coach Jonathan Frazier did football instruction at Riker, which is like a support school for those who have special needs in Rockville. And we love serving them because they have a great, unique population and leadership that not only humbles us, but helps reach students that are going through tough times, especially during this time. So things always come up. And if I have an idea, you'll probably hear about it on my Instagram page or Twitter. And other than that, just focusing on my family and my health and my new job during the day, and being a good friend and son and brother is important to me.
That's a lot of stuff that you have going on, though. It's funny you say about could be the last thing you have going on, that tournament a couple weeks before COVID shuts everything down. I am curious to see how this country as a whole, how we move, because it's bits and pieces all over the place. It's getting shut down. You played in the PSAC. The PSAC is done for the fall. The Colonial Athletic Conference or the Patriot Conference, one of them shut down for the fall. I know, some places still understand that this is dangerous. Some don't. So it'll be interesting going into football season. I spoke the other day with Brian Fleury, and he was telling me tentatively they were supposed to be going to camp, the rookies and stuff, on Tuesday, the 21st. And he's like, I don't know what's going on. I don't know. So, it's all so up in the air. So my last question I hit every guest with, I'm going to hit you with. If you were not out pounding the pavement as a community, we'll call you a liaison type of person, if you weren't coaching football and working like that, what type of career would you like to be in? What do you think you would have done if you didn't do that? And I know it's kind of a tough question, but what do you think you would have done?
Well, I was telling actually a student of mine, a scholar that I work with, is that when I was a kid and they were building Walker's Mill Bridge, I told my mom I wanted to be a dirt man. I kind of loved the idea of construction and kind of being hands-on and moving stuff. But going from there, one of my favorite movies was Jerry Maguire. I wanted to be a sports agent. I love to connect the dots and help people. When I saw we had to go to law school, I ain't gonna lie, I got scared of that, and I was like, I'm not doing that. Then it was being a physical therapist. Shout out to Dr. Funk. We got a great relationship. I always wanted, all the injuries I've been through, and you've seen some.
Yeah.
It was a great way and a safe field to medically be giving back and push athletes back to their limit as I've been helped. And that was probably something else I would want to do if I'm not doing what I'm doing now. So those are like the three things that I look back at and said I wonder if or what. But the things happen for a reason. And a year from now or 5 years from now, you'll be seeing me not in the same place, but in a place where I can do more, say more. And people talking about being in politics. You know me, man, I can't keep my mouth shut, so I don't think that's best. I just think I need to be in the grassroots or in the right division or department to do what I do best, and that's make things better. So I'm looking
for a shaker, Joey. There's no doubt about it. You've always been a mover and shaker. When you were a young kid, even when we battle on the practice field or whatever, we always had that mutual level of respect, and I knew where you were coming from, and I always appreciated that. I think that's why we've always had that connection. Last segment I do with my guest is called my Decade Definers, and I change it around a little bit differently for my guests. Normally I throw out that I need five types of things from you, whether it's the most impactful team you played on, whether it's the 5 best athletes you played for. For you, I'm going to be just a little bit different here. I'm going to go 3 most impactful events that have shaped your life, because I think you're just a little bit different.
3 things. I think playing for MV was very important in shaping my life. Knowing winning was and culture and brotherhood was important to me. Not having really a father figure or a brother, physically a brother. I think shaping my life was, like I said, my mother being honest with me and giving me that tough love conversation was a real defining moment. And then I think allowing myself to take the risk. Like I said, I put it on Facebook, like just to connect to this podcast. I never forget the day when we were on the phone outside of either a halftime game or before a game, and you were like, Hooks, you can still do what you do, man. You don't have to be on the sideline. You don't have to coach. And I was like, wow, like you gave me the affirmation that I could reach kids in the community without being tied down to a philosophy or an approach that I didn't feel was effective enough to win off the field. So that was a defining moment. Defining moment was reaching and meeting people to run the 40 Club. That's a defining moment. Being able to open my heart and forgive and fall in love, with a woman was a defining moment. You know what I'm saying? So there's a lot. 3 is hard. It's probably 3 times a year, maybe 3 times a month. But those were very important to me, especially as I have this conversation of where my mind is now. Because if I didn't take that risk, if I didn't fall in love, if I didn't have that conversation, I wouldn't be where I'm at today.
Sure. I know you said to me you wanted to share a coaching story that happened with you and I back in the day.
It's crazy. I'll never forget. My mom and sister actually were on a trip, and my angry dad was there recording. I think he messed up the game. It was a QO game, JV, and I was playing against a lot of alumni. And I'll never forget, it was a tall sweep call, and Drew Robinson, I'm reading the outside backer, and I'm like, you read my butt, right? That's the rule. And I kick him out. He cuts it. No, I steal him in. He cuts in. He gets tackled. Coach Mark's yelling, right? Because he wants to win. He's trying to push me. And I'm like, Coach Mark, you want to do it? You go block him then. I'm sacrificing my body. I ain't getting no glory. And we were going back and forth from like 20 yards away. And my mind and emotion was so going on that game between being around my father, my mom not being there, tough love, and not feeling really appreciated at the time, not understanding my real role. And I remember I got a penalty throwing the ball back to Eric George. And I remember I got into it with Brian Tyson on the sideline. And because I played with them in MV, those were my teammates. So it was all tough love. Like, you know how it is, like Miami plays Florida? That's how it was for me. I got ejected from the game because the referee made a bad call on the sideline, and we was kickoff return. And I said to Anthony Tyler or Mark, I said, this mother effer didn't get the right call. And he was like, you talking to me? And I was like, so he called, that was my 3rd penalty, and I got ejected. And y'all were like, go to the bus. So that was a tough day, but I remember forgetting that day because I let my emotions get really too high, and it should have been a better way to communicate. But it was I think the most important thing is that we moved forward and we got through it. And I remember the Whitman game, and I came back from my injury in that Gettysburg game. I had the cassette tape from that Gettysburg game. That was a very tough community game where nothing else could go worse. From the onside kick, Dan Hansen, to the punt return, Drew Robinson, to the slant and touchdown, Nate Anguita. Like I remember everything. Patrick Aragon had to take my pads off for me because I played with a broken collarbone and a separated shoulder. That's how bad I wanted to play for my teammates in my school and win that game. But that was a tough time, and I think it's helped me go through kids that maybe don't accept my approach right away, but also push them to the limit to where when they grow up, they'll realize what it was for, and that's what it was about. And I think you leaving Walker's Mill at the varsity level, that hurt me because you were one of the ones that pushed me and got under my skin in the right way to excel and impact people that follow me.
The opportunity to coach at the varsity level at that school for me was, let's just say, stymied to a certain degree because we had a lot of schools of thought there. And I was a young guy bringing in a total different mentality. Not that I didn't respect everything that everybody else was doing, but the way I approached you guys and the relationships we all built with Coach Watson and everything, and the way things were done with the older generation of coaches sort of made me have to reevaluate where I wanted to be and what I needed to go after. I can tell you that one of the reasons I enjoy talking to you the most is you have learned and grown and taken everything you've been given by people, whether it's a good lesson or a bad lesson, and that's shaped who you are. And if people miss out on this podcast, they're really missing out on a lot because you've done a lot of things, and people need to know the message. Watching you on TV for a minute clip and seeing what you're doing is wonderful, but hearing why you do what you do, it really makes a difference. So thanks for coming on and chat with me. I know it's Friday afternoon. I know you started a new job, and I know you're probably tired. I hope you have a great weekend, and I really appreciate your time. You let me know if I can ever help you out. I do have some football stuff for you that, to be quite honest with you, I don't know if I'll ever coach again just because of my kid, but I want to donate it to your program. I have a bunch of footballs and stuff that I had accumulated as a coach. So we need to connect, and I need to get that in your hands.
Sure, for sure. I appreciate it. And I look forward to doing this one day, 20 years from now, with somebody I've coached. And that's what it's about, using your passions and platform to connect and spread the good word, especially right now in the community and in the nation. Having somebody black and brown talk to each other is an example of America that we need, and having those conversations and questions. And so I hope you enjoy your family. I see you well invested, and I watch you from afar as an example. Even Coach Watson and a lot of the guys that I've coached, Coach V, that might see this podcast. I really appreciate you all, time spent and patience with me, and just know, I won't let y'all down.
We appreciate it, Joey. You take care. Have a great day. We'll talk again soon.
All right, boss. See you later, Coach.